some like green tea. Which represents the four possible physical states that can be indicated in a chemical equation: solid, liquid, gas, and aqueous. Leo says G, lose electrons oxidation, gain electrons reduction. Which represents a way to remember the definitions of oxidation and reduction in terms of electron transfer. Leo, losing electrons is oxidation, and G, gaining electrons is reduction. DC PET. Decomposition creates, precipitates, electrolysis, thermal. Which represents different methods or outcomes related to decomposition reactions, creates simpler products, causes precipitation, electrolysis, and thermal. Charm, change, heat, acid, reactant, magnesium. Which represents a keyword for remembering the key experimental components and observations from the chapter's activities: change in state, color, gas, temp, hydrochloric, sulfuric acid, magnesium ribbon, reaction. Coal water heat. Combination reactions of coal and water are exothermic, release heat. Which represents a way to remember that the combination reactions mentioned, such as burning coal or forming water, are exothermic, release heat. Oil rig. Oxidation is loss. Reduction is gain of electrons, hydrogen or oxygen depending on definition. Which represents the mnemonic helps remember the definitions of oxidation and reduction in terms of electron, hydrogen, oxygen transfer. Rust and rancid are redox risks. Which represents rusting and rancidity, both undesirable processes, are examples of redox reactions that pose risks to materials and food quality. Now starting, fun facts. The Statue of Liberty's green color is due to a chemical reaction called oxidation, specifically the rusting of its copper skin. Fireflies produce light through a chemical reaction called bioluminescence, which involves the enzyme luciferase. Diamonds are not forever. They can turn into graphite through a process called graphitization, a type of chemical reaction, although it takes millions of years. The smell of freshly cut grass is caused by volatile organic compounds, VOCs, released by the plant as a defense mechanism. This is a chemical reaction to stress. Ammonia, a common household cleaner, was first produced on an industrial scale using the Haber-Bosch process, a chemical reaction that revolutionized agriculture. The browning of apples and potatoes when cut is an enzymatic browning reaction, a type of oxidation. Dry ice sublimates directly from a solid to a gas, skipping the liquid phase, because of its molecular structure and intermolecular forces. Now starting, Spotlight on Greatness. Spotlight on Greatness, Antoine Lavoisier. Lavoisier's meticulous quantitative work helped overthrow the phlogiston theory, a widely accepted but incorrect explanation of combustion. He was deeply involved in French politics and economics, serving on various commissions, including those for agriculture, finance, and gunpowder production. Lavoisier played a key role in developing the metric system, aiming to create a standardized system of weights and measures based on decimal units. He introduced a systematic chemical nomenclature, which is a naming system still used today for chemical compounds. Lavoisier was a pioneer in stoichiometry, emphasizing the importance of precise measurements in chemical reactions to understand the quantitative relationships between reactants and products. He correctly identified and named oxygen and hydrogen, crucial elements in understanding combustion and the composition of water. Lavoisier was tragically guillotined during the French Revolution due to his involvement in tax collection, despite his significant scientific contributions. He collaborated closely with his wife, Marie-Anne Pierrette Paulze, who translated scientific works, illustrated his experiments, and actively participated in his research. Lavoisier contributed to the understanding of respiration, recognizing it as a slow combustion process analogous to burning, where oxygen is consumed and carbon dioxide is produced. He established that mass is conserved in chemical reactions, laying the foundation for quantitative chemistry and the law of conservation of mass, a fundamental principle. Now starting, infographic. Chemical reactions and equations. Chemical reactions involve changes in matter and energy, represented by balanced equations. Conservation of mass is a key principle. Observing chemical changes. Observed changes include state, color, gas evolution, and temperature variations. Acids and metals demonstrate these changes. Balancing chemical equations. Word equations and chemical formulae represent reactions. Balanced equations ensure the same number of atoms on each side. Combination reactions. Combination reactions form one product from two reactants and are often exothermic. Burning coal to form water is an example. Decomposition reactions. Decomposition breaks down a single reactant. Thermal decomposition of calcium carbonate requires energy. Electrolysis requires electricity. Displacement reactions. Displacement reactions involve one element replacing another. Double displacement involves ion exchange and can form precipitates. Oxidation and reduction. Oxidation gains oxygen, loses hydrogen. Reduction loses oxygen, gains hydrogen. Redox reactions involve both oxidation and reduction. Now starting, flashcards. Combine to form a single product. What reaction produces magnesium oxide? Burning magnesium ribbon in air. What is oxidation? The gain of oxygen or loss of hydrogen. What defines a balanced chemical equation? A balanced chemical equation has the same number of atoms of each element on both sides of the equation. What are exothermic reactions? Reactions that release heat. What are reactants? The substances that undergo change in a chemical reaction. What are redox reactions? Reactions involving both oxidation and reduction. What is a displacement reaction? A reaction where one element displaces another in a compound. How can rancidity be prevented? Using airtight containers or adding antioxidants. What are endothermic reactions? Reactions that require energy. What characterizes a balanced chemical equation? The correct answer is, has the same number of atoms of each element on both sides. Explanation: a balanced chemical equation contains the same number of atoms of each element on both sides of the equation, adhering to the law of conservation of mass. What are reactants in a chemical equation? The correct answer is, the substances that undergo change in a chemical reaction. Explanation: reactants are the substances that undergo change in a chemical reaction, leading to the formation of new substances. What occurs in a combination reaction? The correct answer is 2 or more substances combine to form a single product. Explanation: combination reactions involve 2 or more substances combining to form a single product. What is the defining characteristic of exothermic reactions? The correct answer is release heat. Explanation: exothermic reactions release heat into the surroundings, indicated by a temperature increase. What is the primary process in a decomposition reaction? The correct answer is a single reactant breaking down into 2 or more products. Explanation: decomposition reactions involve a single reactant breaking down into 2 or more products. What is a key characteristic of endothermic reactions? The correct answer is require energy. Explanation: endothermic reactions require energy from the surroundings in the form of heat, light, or electricity to proceed. What happens in a displacement reaction? The correct answer is one element displacing another in a compound. Explanation: displacement reactions involve one element displacing another element from a compound. What occurs in a double displacement reaction? The correct answer is the exchange of ions. Explanation: double displacement reactions involve an exchange of ions between 2 reactants, often resulting in the formation of a precipitate. What defines oxidation? The correct answer is the gain of oxygen or loss of hydrogen. Explanation: oxidation involves the gain of oxygen or the loss of hydrogen, or the loss of electrons. What defines reduction? The correct answer is the loss of oxygen or gain of hydrogen. Explanation: reduction is the loss of oxygen or the gain of hydrogen. Chemical reactions involve changes in the dash and dash. Chemical reactions involve changes in the dash and dash of a substance. Nature, identity. Explanation: this highlights the fundamental characteristic of a chemical reaction. Activity 1.1 involves burning magnesium ribbon in air to produce dash. Magnesium oxide. Explanation: this tests understanding of the product formed in a specific reaction. Chemical equations represent chemical reactions using chemical dash instead of words. Formulae. Explanation: understanding how reactions are represented symbolically is key. A dash chemical equation has the same number of atoms of each element on both sides. Balanced. Explanation: this defines a key characteristic of chemical equations. Dash are substances that undergo change, and dash are the new substances formed. Reactants, products. Explanation: tests understanding of basic reaction components. Writing symbols of dash, solid, liquid, gas, aqueous, makes chemical equations more informative. Physical states. Explanation: highlights the importance of indicating physical states in equations. Dash reactions occur when two or more substances combine to form a single product. Combination. Explanation defines a common type of chemical reaction. Dash reactions release dash, such as the burning of natural gas or respiration. Exothermic, heat. Explanation tests understanding of heat flow in reactions. Dash reactions involve a single reactant breaking down into simpler products. Decomposition. Explanation defines another common type of reaction, opposite of combination. Dash is the gain of oxygen or loss of hydrogen, while dash is the loss of oxygen or gain of hydrogen. Oxidation, reduction. Explanation defines oxidation and reduction. Dash is the gain of oxygen. Chemical reaction. Change in substance. Magnesium ribbon. Magnesium oxide. Chemical equation. Chemical formulae. Reactants. Undergo change. Products. New substances formed. Balanced equation. Conserved atoms. Exothermic reaction. Releases heat. Endothermic reaction. Requires energy. Oxidation. Gain of oxygen. Rancidity. Oxidized fats. Oxide. Beside. Reactants. Attractants. Equation. Creation. Gas. Brass. Heat. Sweet. Reduction. Seduction. Product. Conduct. State. Relate. Zinc. Think. Rusting. Busting.